And we are.
Good evening, folks. It's About Face Radio from the Ashes Show. I am One Shot Seth, and this is my amazing co-host and hetero life mate, Robert Shenanigans Williams.
There's the button I was looking for.
Yes.
Yep. What's up, man?
Not a whole lot.
Holy crap! First show of 2023.
23. I'm pumped for this year and this season.
How was New Year? I am too. This is like this is literally officially for us season 2.
Season 2.
We are in season 2.
Hey.
Can you believe we got a whole season under our belt and like on there?
We can only get better.
Well,
I can only get better. I don't know. You do
I
pretty
don't
good
know.
at this.
We got a lot of potential to go downhill at this point. Let me try to share this as well on all the social medias and whatnot. But how was New Year's? Did you chill, relax? Were you exciting? Party like a rock star?
I'm not a New Year's person.
No?
It's just not my holiday to do anything. I really had their executive producers in here.
Okay.
So I'm like, dude, you want to watch the ball drop? And he's like, yeah. I went to YouTube. I got the ball drop of 2022, queued that thing up, put it on the TV. He came down. I'm like, all right, let's go. Did like the 1 minute countdown at like 8:30. And then immediately turned it off so he didn't see it. It was the 2022 one. And he's like, woo! Shot some poppers. He went to bed.
At 8:37 p.m. on 31st. That's awesome. Did you make it to midnight?
No.
Did you make it to 10?
10:35 probably. Yeah.
We're so old, dude.
And 7 days a week from 9:30 to 10:30 I do something. And then I immediately, as soon as I'm done, not 10:35 I'm in bed. So
Sandy and I went to the Avalanche game, where they got their asses handed to them by the Montreal, I think it was.
The other team?
Yeah, whatever it was.
Okay.
Toronto. It was the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, they're not a terrible team, are they? I don't watch
No.
I don't watch no, I've tried so many times. I even know this amazing individual who used to play that played for the Avalanche during their epic, 90s run.
Uh-huh.
And he's also another, man, we got to have him on. Something just clicked. Wow.
I love when that light bulb goes on. I have a radio show. I should invite friends over.
I have this guy who's an amazing person on, and he has his own bedroom program. Yes.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to talk to him, so I'm not going to ruin it until I talk to him, see if he'll come on the show. But,
Happy New Year, Philip Blackman. Happy New Year, Nathan Hucker.
Yeah, Happy New Year, boys.
Crystal Rodenbaugh is watching. Oh, that's cool. Huh. Do you know her?
I've met her once or twice.
So you just never got into the hockey thing, huh?
No, I've tried really hard because I appreciate the athletes in hockey. They're tough as nails. They're willing to fight. Like, I like them. But I can't stand the sport, bro. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah, I can't see the damn puck. I don't know what's going on. And you know what? If I wanted to spend 3 periods late at night, 3 hours late at night, watching a bunch of guys try to score and fail, I would go out with you and my buddies. Come on, man.
That hurt a little.
I need more scoring. I love basketball. Basketball's one of my favorite sports to watch and play, but I can't play anymore.
So Junior and I went to, when we lived in San Antonio, we went to, what's the team? The Spurs. We went to 2 Spurs games over there. And because, you're in San Antonio and these guys are like, they're a really good basketball team.
Yeah.
And we sat there and I'm like, and he finally looked at me at halftime. He's like, can we go? This is so boring. And I'm like, but we're hockey fans. So we like violence. We like men on knife shoes, smacking the crap out of each other.
All the concepts of hockey sounds great. I can't find a way to like it.
I feel this. I don't understand, like Allie, I don't understand people that are fans of soccer. I can't.
Dude,
I can't get
do people
there.
still play that besides when you're like 7?
There was a big game just recently. Look at that. Bernie's watching. What's up, Hatchet? Good to have you on.
I heard there's some famous soccer guy died. Okay, so my in-laws are very much into the kicking of the Dalmatian ball. And so when our family chat,
don't get it.
I know, my family chat, they're like, oh, this guy named Peely or Pelly or something like that died. And I'm like, who the F is that? Like, oh my God. And I can't. Well, it's just another sport I can't get into.
I get you.
I would rather watch like college women's volleyball Have you ever watched women's college volleyball?
Oh,
It's not just for the.
hang on a second, let me
the
check.
outfits.
Wife is not watching. Yes,
Okay.
I watch it very
Dude,
regularly.
That is a very highly competitive. Like them girls get after it.
Do they? I never noticed, but yeah, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan.
My wife's listening, and she's gonna be like, "He watches it for the outfits." No, like I'll watch that over soccer or hockey.
Yeah,
I also like volleyball in general. I
Well,
love volleyball.
and you're kind of an athlete. You're an athlete yourself, so I mean, like you get other good athletes that are good at stuff. But we as Americans, I guess, we just don't grasp the concept that this is literally the only country where soccer is not popular.
I know.
It's everywhere else in the world. You say football and it means something completely different.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I just can't get behind it.
No.
Even sometimes like American football, it just drags sometimes. Like it's so slow.
I, for a very long time, was a diehard NFL fan.
We've had this conversation.
Played a lot of fantasy football. Used to write articles for it. No, they weren't well written, but
Mine aren't
hey,
either.
I can tell you you want to know about a practice squad guy on a team that I don't even like. I can tell you the stats. I tell you, nerd. And as soon as politics got brought into it, I started disliking crap. And then they changed some of the rules where like kickoffs don't even get returned, and there's all these extras, hitting like penalties. And I'm like, dude, you guys are taking away from the beauty of the sport. Like, let me just watch the sport where they can hit each other, and there's not politics about every single aspect of every game. Dude, I just can't get into that stuff. I'm out.
So, being an athlete and being a veteran who's got all kinds of injuries and boo-boos and ouchies and whatnot, what are your thoughts on helmets in football? Do you think the game would be more exciting and less injuries if they took the helmets off? Because I know a lot of football. I don't know much about football, but from what I understand, most people in the NFL, they use that helmet as a weapon and they drive with it, and that's what causes a lot of the head injuries.
Yes, there's been a lot of studies on that, and also like back in the leather helmet days,
mm-hmm.
If I had that just that leather thing over my head, I don't know if I'm like launching my head into some other dude's head.
Especially the size of some of those guys.
Yeah,
those are monsters.
I'm going to say I don't have an opinion on that because my opinion is so back and forth on, it would be a big change in football if they didn't have helmets.
Oh no, I agree. Like rugby, are you a fan of rugby at all? I would love to learn how to play rugby.
No,
not your thing.
No.
When I was at JSOC, my partner, his name was Jason, was a huge rugby guy, and he played sevens. I'm talking out my ass here. I don't know anything about it.
Term, so that's all.
But what do you call it? He says it's significantly safer than American football, and it looks like a lot of fun too.
I can maybe get on that.
Just because it's just shorts and cleats, and I'm like, yeah, I'm down, and I'm Irish, so it's in my blood. So let's do this.
I am too.
I know we have this conversation every once in a while.
Yep.
Josh Baker, bro, my team was a train wreck from the '80s till like a few years ago. It's strange watching them now. I'll bet it is. Try being a Broncos fan this year.
Oh my God, bro. I know I've said this joke before, but this Sunday afternoon, my wife was like, I feel like watching a romantic comedy. And I'm like, let's turn on the fucking Bronco game.
Joe Allen, what's up, man? Good to see you on here. Happy New Year, brother. Yeah, it's a rough year to be a fan.
It's a joke. So
imagine my surprise when the Avs went last year all the way and took the Stanley Cup. We were super excited. That was a fun.
You know what? Why don't you just become a Nuggets fan? Did you know they're really good?
No, I didn't until this conversation.
Okay, they're a really good team. We've got the NBA's MVP.
Really?
Yeah, dude, we have a legit team, and I think our problem is we just never won a championship. Like we have this like amazing team that always gets close, always gets to the playoffs. But we are a good team.
I could not name a Nuggets player if you held a gun to my forehead right now. I could not name a Nuggets. Do you go to games at all?
It's also one of my favorite things to do is go to a basketball game. I don't like going to football games because I like the sport so much. I want to see it and the replays and not be far away. So that's the only thing that takes away from football games for me. But basketball games, the energy never stops. They're always sprinting back and forth. They're always scoring. There's always something going on.
We were so bored.
Oh, I love basketball.
Are you a Rockies fan?
Sure.
No, that wasn't convincing at all, dude.
Okay, so I love baseball. I've been playing baseball as a kid, and it's just too slow, and there's not enough impact.
Agreed. The people that are into it strike me as numbers geeks. Like, today is the second time in 23 years on a full moon in August.
We've had a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like,
oh,
how do you come up with a stat like that? Where did that come from?
But I agree. It's a little too slow for me. If they could compress 9 innings. Oh, you know what else? Here's the problem with baseball. Here's when I quit liking baseball.
Tell me.
When they quit letting you juice.
Look, we're on the same page. Let them all have at it. I want to see the worst human beings on the planet. I want to see football players, baseball players. I want to see everybody on the juice. Let's see what human potential is.
Yeah, who cares? Let it. Dude, I want to see baseballs leave the stadium again. Okay? Make baseball great again. Okay? Mandatory. As soon as you get drafted, here's your starter kit.
Yeah.
Let's start let's have Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds days.
That's what I love about professional jiu-jitsu is that, yes, there is, but not really.
Testing, but not.
And
they pre-warn you.
Yeah.
No, they have testing, but nobody's ever popped hot.
Well, you look at what is the guy's name? Gordon Ryan. You look at him when he was like 19, and you look at him now and you're like,
that's natural.
Yeah, and
I need more jiu-jitsu to look
like. And he's vocal about it. Like when he met the Liver King.
Yeah.
And I love that. He's standing there talking like just two all natural guys standing here having a conversation. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So I agree. Juice to the gills. Yeah, Joe Allen, exactly right. Baseball is so boring in my opinion. Nuggets are legit.
Who said that?
That is Joe Allen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Smart man there.
But I agree. Yes, let them all juice. We're on the same page there. Let's see how far we can take human potential. Granted, their testicles will be this big when it's all done, but
nobody cares.
Exactly. I just want to see gigantic.
Does anybody care about the size of the testy? I think they care about the size of the member in which ain't affecting that, right?
Peanuts. Yeah. What do you call it? Yes, I want to see the maximum of human potential and see how far we can go with it.
Yeah.
So, but that's just my. But I'm not I want to see guys hitting each other. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
I'm much more into hitting each other.
You got that book?
I do. I brought it down. So, folks, we have this really cool guest tonight. His name's Matt Stack, and he wrote this book. And we are so cool
that
he signed one to us, and he graced us with his presence. I'm going to bring him on.
I am going to bring him on.
Sounds good to me.
Well, let's start at the beginning here. Okay, so Matt, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. How y'all doing?
Good. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, solid. You hear me?
Well, welcome to From the Ashes Radio. We hear you perfectly. So let me start at the beginning. I am a horrible co-host and a worse friend because you sent this book to me roughly a month or so ago, and it's really good. And so I kept reading it, and I never got it to One Shot over here. So he has not actually read the book. All he has heard is how good the book is for me for the last month. So I apologize. I'm a terrible friend.
It's in my possession. Well, I get to read it now.
I had this whole chapter about this guy I met, Seth, when I was stationed overseas. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't. So
some sniper that, yeah.
And I thought I'd grace y'all with my beautiful office tonight. Well, I used to have this awesome office set up in my house, and then we had twins. And that ruined ruined the office plan. So now you're graced in my awesome office here. So it's good to see you.
Hey, man, we interviewed a jiu-jitsu fighter one time, and that dude sat on the beach and talked to us. So it was pretty awesome, actually. So, dude, you are fine. Don't you worry about nothing. So let's start. You are a veteran yourself, obviously, of the Marine Corps. Tell us about your military service.
Yeah. So, I'll give you the quick lowdown. So yeah, coming out of high school, my parents were like, listen, you need to save some money. You need to go to college. And I was like, nah, I mean, I just want to party and, you know, smoke weed and travel around and have fun and go to parties. And then
Pretty standard.
I don't know how that recruiter convinced me the Marine Corps was the way to go, but that was it. My sister had gone in the Army, and I knew from where I'm from in a small town, we had to drive like 45 minutes to where all of the branches were in like one location. So I remember like talking to like the Navy, because I was obsessed with explosives. I wanted to go like EOD. I wanted to go down that road, and talked with the Navy, talked to the Air Force. The Air Force handed me a bunch of pamphlets for college, and I was like, nah, like. And then we were leaving because in my hometown, there's only one. There's the Marine recruiter. And as I was leaving, this like short, stocky staff sergeant comes running out and he goes, "Hey there, hard charger." And so I'm standing there with my dad, and we went in and talked to him. And 20 minutes later, I was like, I want to be a Marine. And it was amazing. Like, oh, that dude. What's funny is after I signed the dotted line on the guy, I don't think I ever talked to that dude again. Like, we never, I never saw that guy. And so so I loved it. I joined, but you have to understand where I came from. Like, I was a kid in a small town. I had like wavy hair. I'd rock up in my corduroy shorts and Birkenstocks, like partying. So when I joined, I tell this story. My girlfriend at the time, I had a serious girlfriend. Her dad was this hard ass Vietnam veteran, barely spoke 2 words to me. Like, and we had dated a long time. And I had heard him say, without me knowing, like, oh, Matt'll never make it. And I was like, oh man, it was like a cut to the chest as like a teenager. And then I remember going to like the assembly for kids, like for like in high school, and they're like, and joining the Marine Corps is Matt Stack, and like the school busted out laughing because everyone knew me as just this like chill, like party kid. So I remember joining. That was the first time I had that kind of, I think, motivation of like where like someone close to you would bet against you. So I remember going in, like, and you're so dramatic when you're a kid. I remember joining, being like, man, if I don't make it, like, I'll just sneak home and grab my stuff and leave. I'll be too ashamed. Like, I remember like going in, like, you know, like you're all like dramatic like that. So I joined in 1999. I loved it. I mean, if you ask anyone about the Marine Corps, this is what the Marine Corps is like: having a sibling. Like, you love them, you do anything for them, you die for them, but you also kind of hate them. Like there's just this love hate, and you don't like anyone talking crap on your family unless they're family. But that's what it's like. So I went overseas. I ended up in aviation ordnance because they're like, hey, listen, you got to go ordnance to become EOD. So go do that. And then as soon as you get to your school, just tell them you want to be EOD. So I can remember being like in the field, being like, hey, my recruiter told me, I just got to tell you guys that I wanted to go EOD. And they were like, yeah, talk to us in 4 years. And I was like, oh, no, you didn't. And so, but I ended up loving it. So long of it short, did Japan for a couple of years. I was in Japan when 9/11 hit. And then from there, went to Guam, Kuwait, all over, and then ended up in California my last year, where I decided, I was like, all right, I'll stick around here. Met my wife in church, fell in love, had a family, moved to Colorado, and now here. And then Killing Chaos. So I'm blabbing a ton, but yeah, that was it. The Marine Corps in a summary. I loved it, but hated it at the same time.
I get it. So now that you've laid that framework, and by the way, my recruiter did me the same way, so I get you. Now tell us about Killing Chaos and how that came to be.
Yeah, so the quickest way to summarize it, when I got out, I had a hard time transitioning when I got out. I felt like everyone was better at me at life. They were more successful than me, better at relationships, making more money than me. And I just felt like I didn't understand, like I couldn't understand what was going on. I just constantly didn't like sitting still. I was moving around, and then I was reading a book. I decided to be an intern in my church, and there was a book they had me read called Ordering Your Private World. And there's a sentence in that book that said, all of man's miseries derive from him not being able to sit in a quiet room alone. And it rocked me. I was like, I couldn't figure it out. And then I ended up working with a guy at a regular sales job, and he was a Marine vet. He was just a Viking of a man, you know, like crude as could be, but would give you the shirt off his back. We were close friends. And one day he was talking to me, and he was like, hey, I'm thinking of leaving my fiance. He had a great girl. He was thinking of leaving his fiance to go back with his crazy ex. You know, by
I read
this
that.
time I've been in, yeah, like, so I remember like getting pissed at him, being like, what are you thinking? Like, you're brainwashed. And that was the first time that I'd ever made this connection. And basically the whole book is the summary of this right here, that I realized that the Marine Corps, or I felt like Holy Spirit, God dropped this on me, where I was like, I realized the Marine Corps and the military teaches us to love chaos. So if you talk to a civilian, hey, why do vets like the military? Oh, they like it because the order. They're like this. Yeah, but they don't tell us is that we get addicted to that life of chaos. So from the moment we're in boot camp, it's constantly chaos all day, every day. Things going wrong constantly. And that carries into our entire training. So you spend years in that environment, and we pride ourselves in it. Like, yeah, dude's marriage fell apart. This is over here. We didn't get our supplies. We didn't get our ammo. We didn't get anything. Like, and we're just gonna make it work. We're gonna get the job done. But they don't tell us that when we get out, it's such a part of us that we will subconsciously create the chaos in our life around us. So suddenly you end up in a normal, intimate relationship with someone, you can't connect with them. You feel like something's wrong either, and you mess it up. You end up in a quiet room alone, start freaking out. You end up in like a normal routine, a normal commute to a job. You're like, ah, man, these civilians are fake. I just miss the brotherhood, all this stuff. It's like, might be, but I promise it's more. So guys, they link it to themselves. So long of it short, when I realized this, I started one by one telling this to vets when I'd meet them. Like, hey man, I don't know if you felt this way, but this is how it was for me. And I would watch their faces just drop, like I just read their mail. Like I was I did an interview with Urban Valor a couple months back in San Diego, and I was getting my haircut the day before, and him was a Marine vet. And I started telling him all this, and he looks at me and his eyes get big. He goes, bro, every day I feel like taking this chair and smashing this whole place to pieces. And I was like, it's not you, bro. You were taught to function in that. You were taught. So once you get out as a vet and you end up in a life of peace and a life of calm, if guys don't have the proper transition, they'll ruin it, and they don't know why. They'll just think something's wrong, but it's because their training is constantly like kicking into gear, that things should be going haywire. Things should all be destroyed around us. But that doesn't work when I have a wife, I've got kids, and I've got life. So all this to summarize, when I started sharing this with guys, I was here at a conference in the Springs a few years back, and I met this old master sergeant. He'd been out forever. And I tell it to him and his wife about the chaos thing, and his face drops just like they all do. And his wife just starts bawling in front of me. And she goes, he's been doing what you just said, messing up his life for 25 years. And we never knew why. Like every time they get to a place of peace, he'd destroy it. And it wrecked me. And so he said something to me, and I'll never forget it. We were in the parking lot, and he goes, listen, man, what you said to me was a revelation. He goes, but it's not enough. Like now what do I do? And I was like, dang, you're right. Like I used to think like just going around telling vets about the trigger was enough. Like, hey, listen, there's this trigger. If you feel like destroying your life, it's not you. That's not how you're wired. You can have a peaceful life. You can have a great marriage. You can have all those things. It's your training. But I realized that's not enough. So that's when there was another guy there who was a military pastor. And he goes, listen, bro, I need, and then I was like, hey, listen, man, he walked away for hours, that second guy, and came back to me hours later. He goes, I can't stop thinking about what you said to me. And he was a vet. He goes, and I told him about the book. I'm like, listen, I talked to this guy. I'm going to write a book. He goes, I need this book now. Because he runs a combat trauma. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, bro, I just want to go home and play PlayStation. I don't feel like writing a book right now. Like once I'm done, so I went home, and that's what I did at night. I started writing it. And then the moment I had it written, he bought the books, and he runs a combat trauma recovery course here in the Springs for vets. And he gives my book to every single one of them. And now I'm actually running that course starting next month at my church. And so all of this comes back to one thing, and it was the God factor. It was becoming a Christian. It was Jesus. It was all of that aspects of bringing in the Prince of Peace into my world and being able to navigate. Because let's say a guy goes in and breaks down doors. Let's say you've seen people killed. Let's say you killed people. Let's say you even went a step further. Let's say there's like a child who's attacking your unit and you took out that child. I had a friend of mine go through that experience. That is a very real spiritual door that's being opened aside from the physical. So there's places out there that are dealing with the physical, they're dealing with the mental, there's all those things, but that is a spiritual door that's been opened, and it has to be dealt with in a spiritual manner. So the whole book was about walking someone from the moment you're out, you get your DE 214, of what that walk should look like. Because as I walked through, navigated like my dad dying, my stepmom dying, all this loss, and encompassing that with trying to navigate life, man, that was it. So sorry, that was a massive tangent of your one question on why I wrote the book, but that was it in the summary. And I'll say this last thing. I'll be honest, man. I'll probably start crying if I think about it. But I used to get really angry at vets when I would first talk to them, because I would be like, man, why can't you figure this out? Like, why are you always ranting on about your life and this, and why can't you just figure it out? Like, and I realized I was always just projecting like my own junk onto them of why I couldn't figure shit out. Like, and I was like, it wrecked me. So now, like, I feel like this has just been put on my heart to tell vets about it. Like, listen, man, like, you can. My mother-in-law had met a Marine vet at the chiropractor like 2 weeks ago, and he hits me up like, "Hey, man, I heard you're writing a book. Want to reach out?" I was like, "Sure, yeah." I hit him up, go to lunch with him. Had no idea he was struggling with suicide, struggling with all these dark thoughts, struggling with everything. You just never know, like, where a vet is at in their place and what they really need to get out of it. So I took us really deep road, but man, I feel like it's a travesty of how our military handles vets when they get out. Like, hey, you know what my class was? My class was, hey, here's how you collect unemployment in 2 different states. That was my class on getting out. Hey, here's how you can skirt the system and collect unemployment in 2 different states. We probably had the same dude teaching it. Like, not because I don't think they know that when you get out, you'll try to ruin your whole life and you won't even know it.
This is the whole reason that he and I sit on this couch for an hour once a week is to tell veterans exactly that. Stop taking your own life. There's too many different opportunities out there. I'm going to give you mad props, dude, because there's a lot of service members would not wear their Christianity on their sleeve the way you do in this book. You lay it right out there, and you're like, here's the deal. Here's what, here's how my life is. And this is something that you and I have actually never spoken about on air or off air. So I don't even know what your views on religion and Christianity are.
Yeah, that's as many things as
we talked about. This is not something we've ever listened to. Yeah. Isn't it amazing?
Oh, we're just gonna have to have one of these deep on this show.
Exactly. Great job. Well done putting it out there and wearing it openly like armor. I was very impressed. It's a great book. And I love what you did in the book and the way you equate the military to Christianity and why it works.
Thanks, man.
Tell us though, most people are interested in why they tuned into the show. And I don't know if you can see all these questions that on
I
Facebook.
can't.
Let's see here. My getting out was yelling at CIF and taking their shit back when getting drunk in Savannah, Georgia. We get better training to go to war and no attention is given to reintegration. I agree, Philip. What else? We have a unique ability to romanticize our service, forgetting the times that sucked. Serving sucked more than we remember. Agreed. Talk about every service member, and Seth and I say, or One Shot and I say exact same thing. You want to write a book. You want to write a book and tell your story. And we encourage that here. We're big fans of that here. Tell us about the process of writing the book. Easy.
Great question, man. To bring it back of where you said wearing stuff on the sleeve, like the God thing took time to build confidence in who I am as a man, the things that I like and the things that I don't. And once I could lift up my hands and worship God and understand how my theology differs, because there's a lot of difference in Christianity out there. I don't ascribe to the God is sovereign and everything happens for a reason and everything that happens out there is what God wants it to happen. I think that's BS. Like, otherwise people wouldn't be trafficked and kidnapped and everything. So there's a huge difference in my theology and a lot of Christians out there, and I'll debate it all day long. But that being said, that confidence factor came into where to write the book. And I'll be honest, I never saw war, but it would be wrong to assume that the words that I have don't carry value, and just as anybody does, because every person's testimony carries weight. And the people that you all talk with and connect with are people I can't reach. So that's why your testimony is so powerful, is because it can reach every single person and save someone that I can't save. And so I think about that when it comes to like war or going to see war. I was in the back building bombs, and I think about it all the time. I'm like, man, part of me wishes always, I wish I would have seen it. I wish I would have gone to the front. But then the other part of me is always at war with that, saying I'm thankful I didn't. Like I have both. So when it comes to the book, it's so easy. All I did, once you have the overall arching theme of what you want to accomplish, if you can summarize the book in one sentence, start there. What's your book going to be? Tell me your book in one sentence. And then from there, go break it down in the flow of how it was. So the longest part of the entire book was figuring out which part was going to match up to which thing, like which chapter was going to talk about which part. And then all I did was literally like sit in a corner, put on that song from Interstellar, like the theme from it, and just start writing out my thoughts in there. And I would jump from chapter to chapter. The best tip I would probably say that helped a ton is I had 2 documents open. One was a Google Doc where I would type out everything. And the second was a document that I created called Sentence Dump. And this was massively helpful because as you start to go back and read what you're talking about, you're gonna be like, man, why did I put this in there? This is the dumbest thing ever. It has nothing to do with this chapter, but part of you will want to just delete it, but don't. Like, cut it out, throw it into that other second document. Because I guarantee by the time you get to the end and you feel like you're finished, you're going to go back to that sentence dump and be like, oh, this paragraph really needs to go over here. And it really needs to go here. And then you can really cycle through. But if you were to read like this book, this is the first edition. There's so many mistakes in it, so many errors. My buddies were hitting me up, be like, hey man, did you know instead of apostrophe, it's an arrow and all this stuff? And there was someone who said a long time ago, it's like, listen, something that's 80% and published is something that's better than 95% and still being worked on. So I knew this guy needed this book. And I even had it revised and redone, and there's still errors. So when I know people buy it, there's going to be errors in that book, but I just had to be to a place of like, people need this, and they need to know that their life has value and that God loves them and he has a purpose for them.
Did you publish this book yourself?
I did, through Amazon, actually. So so I did it real quick. I was fortunate to have some friends. One was an illustrator, one was an editor, and 3 other friends were in the publishing world. So I had reached out to a publishing company. They were like, hey, for $4,000, we'll publish your book. We'll give you 100% of the royalties, blah, blah, blah. And I hit up my buddy and I was like, hey, is this a good deal? Like, I don't know. And he goes, and he had published one book with a publishing company and all his other books through Amazon. And he goes, honestly, man, I'd probably just do it through Amazon because they pay you royalties per book. You don't hold inventory. So when someone orders 10 books, they print 10 books and then you get your royalties on that. And you can set the price, you can do all that. I literally set up an account, clicked upload file, upload picture, publish, and it was done. And my other friend was like, hey man, with the publishing company, sure, they're going to help you get the word out. But if you're planning on doing that yourself, there's way cheaper ways to do it. So all in all, I mean, I paid my editor, I paid my illustrator, and it was done. And so I would highly encourage do it. So many guys feel hesitant, like, oh, I've never written a book. I don't know if I'm qualified. No, do it. Who cares? Write it.
Well, we encourage that as well. We're huge fans of places like Dead Reckoning Collective and places like that are all about like veterans doing just to write. Doesn't have to be about your military experience. Just write whatever you want. If you want to write about fishing or football or mullets, whatever you want to write about.
Making baseball great again.
Yeah. Hey. Oh, look who listened to the show before he came on.
Wow, that's nice.
I know. You warmed my heart right there. Nice done.
Y'all spread a tear when I think about the mullet.
Why?
I don't know, because it's gone.
You look good, man. You look good.
Yes.
I feel like that's a summertime haircut.
A summertime haircut? That's funny. Matt, I wish we would have, you know what? Now that I've heard you're in the Springs, our super secret location is located like 15 minutes, 20 minutes from the Springs. We should just have you down in the studio. Yeah.
I would love,
I didn't know until like 2 days ago he was in the Springs.
Oh, cool.
Dude, my bad. Yeah.
Wow.
You're all right.
Didn't know. Yeah, it wasn't your fault. We didn't do enough investigating.
Also, it's a little rough to get out here tonight. So
it is not easy to get out. Yeah, weather. Yeah, not good. What do you do now for work besides being a best-selling author?
Yeah. So I mean, I have a full-time job. I work from home. It's great. Um, it's good. You know, it's a great job. I like it. And then we're launching our own company. Technically, I mean, the timing's funny. We're actually doing a huge business launch Saturday. And so, actually, you know what? I didn't think about it till the second. You both are invited to the party on Saturday night. I'll send you the details if you're free. But we're doing a big business launch. We had an idea 2 years ago to launch a business, put some money into something, and to give it a shameless plug here, what essentially we had the idea was we're just making like an Airbnb or Turo, but for outdoor sports gear. So we built an app over the last 2 years where if you've got like mountain bikes chilling in your garage, kayaks chilling, and they're just collecting dust, then you can list them on the app and rent them out to people. And then people, instead of wanting to go,
yeah, that's very cool.
yeah, so it's called Gobe, Gobe. So we're hyper focusing it in the Springs. We're doing a big party this Saturday. We're gonna have, you know, obviously appetizers, do the whole work. So yeah, that's our big, aside from just, you know, regular work stuff, that's our big thing that we're pushing all of our efforts into. So getting the word out in the Springs.
Normally we would be all about that, but this coming Saturday is our leadership meeting for About Face Radio, where we plan for our 30-60 1-year plan and all that stuff. So one of our board of directors, is a good guy, is really about taking us into the future. So yeah, that's what we're doing with our Saturday this coming year, or this coming week.
I love it.
When we get done with that, I'll be antisocial.
Yeah, exactly. Same. Exactly.
Locked in a room for 8 hours. Business plan.
Yeah.
8 hours. Oh,
yeah, I think I'll be done by the end of the day. But hey, Matt, before I cut you loose, give everybody where they can find you on the socials and how they can find the book and all that stuff. Pimp yourself.
Yeah, I deleted Facebook like a year ago, which was the greatest thing I've done. But Instagram, on my Instagram, at Matt_Stack, at Matt_Stack. Would love to hear more. So yeah, they can find the book on Amazon. If you type in Killing Chaos, Matt Stack, it'll come up. For some reason, if you type in Killing Chaos, a whole bunch of things that aren't my book come up. So that's just how it rolled. I don't know why. So that's the downfall. But yeah, and I wanted to say, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. It's not an easy thing. This takes time away from your families, takes time away from your lives. But man, what you do matters. Like just one person getting on here, being able to hear that you all are listening, that you hear, and man, it makes all the difference in the world. So shout, like for real, props to y'all, because that's not easy, and it means the world to people. So appreciate you.
When the number of veterans that are taking their lives reaches the number of 0, that's when we will stop. So until then, we will keep pushing forward. So and it's because of people like you. So keep it up, man.
Thanks, man. Same. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, have a great New Year.
For being on.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. It's an honor. Appreciate you guys. Cool. Same. Happy New Year.
Well, we are going to go to a quick break. And when we come back, we will have, of course, everybody's favorite segment. We are going to talk with Allie. So yeah, in the meantime, this is your chance to go get yourself a tasty beverage and go to the bathroom real quick. We'll be back in a minute.
Paralyzed Veterans of America helps people with disabilities, veterans and civilians alike, regain their independence and move forward in life. Since 1946, Paralyzed Veterans of America is a leading steadfast advocate for quality health care, spinal cord research and education, veterans benefits, and civil rights for paralyzed veterans and all people with disabilities, and offers support for caregivers. PVA's mission? To empower America's brave men and women to regain what they fought for, their freedom and independence. If you are a disabled veteran seeking support, or if you are a veteran or civilian and you wish to give support, call Paralyzed Veterans of America today, toll-free at 1-800-424-8200, or visit pva.org. That's 1-800-424-8200, or online at pva.org.
You're finally back.
All right, folks, it's time to bring her in. Everybody ready? Here she is.
Hi.
Aloysius.
Oh,
How the-
Aloysius. Good one. Hi.
Oh,
guys.
yeah. We wanted to show you something. You ready?
Okay. Yes! Oh my God, where did mine go? Right here. Right here.
You know how we talk all the time about how we need to redo your intro?
Yes.
We're gonna fit the screaming goats in there somehow.
Yes. Yes. You guys
Allie,
been waiting all week.
laughed so hard, and I was like, "This got to be on Amazon." And I just felt like I had no ammo, just so I had to get a screaming goat.
Yeah.
It was the best Christmas present I've gotten all year.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, it's so stupid, right? But it's like effective. Like it accurately describes how I'm feeling sometimes. Like right? Like that's it. Oh, you guys, happy New Year.
To you as well.
I'm glad my
That's the
contract
important part.
is
Have you choked
renewed.
anybody?
Have I choked anybody? No.
You haven't put on your murder jammies and got to choke anybody yet?
No, not yet. It's a common. It's when it happens though. I'll group chat everybody and I'm like,
Okay. Okay.
no, we haven't gotten there. But how are you guys? How was your New Year's?
Good. Not
Good.
bad.
Yeah,
Quiet. Good.
good.
What did you do for New Year's?
What's that?
What did you do for New Year's?
I worked my second job.
What's
Yeah.
your second?
She bounces.
I
You're
bounced.
How did you miss this?
I don't know. How did I?
You don't listen to me. That's what it is. You don't
I
listen
have a
to
very
me.
short memory.
Like just weeks ago. Anyway, Allie is one of those badass security guard bouncers at some like super scary, sketchy, like people get murdered all the time clubs.
I believe
She's
every
just
word I'm hearing.
dumping dudes on their heads all the time.
I
It's
believe
nuts.
it.
Disarming fucking guns and knives and leaving every night blood splatter.
And like yes, all of that. But at first they're like, like just in typical guy fashion, they want to test the waters, right? Because don't wear any jewelry, and so they don't see a ring, and they're like, and so half of them think I am gay, the other half just want to test and see how far they get, and I was just like, just stone face, like I've heard it all. You are lame. Like go do something else. Go drink your $12 beer and leave me the fuck alone.
Well, in the meantime, so tell us about 2023. What are we looking at for the VA? And the VA is just lighting up lately, huh?
Yeah, so big things coming to the VA as of yesterday, or maybe today. I don't know if yesterday was a federal holiday, but as of today, they have started to process PACT Act claims. So 175,000 claims have already been filed. They've just been kind of sitting in the ether because raters were not allowed unless it was like terminally ill or something. They were not rating them, but as of today, it's a go. The VA is on this huge hiring kick because it's like everybody knew this except the VA. They don't have enough raters, they don't have enough veteran service representatives, they don't have enough claims gatherers, they don't have enough people, right? And I was thinking, I'm like, why don't people want to work for the VA? Reputation is one. Two, they don't pay a whole lot. Like the amount of work and forced overtime, it doesn't, like the work-life balance is not that good, right? So work-life balance, the reputation, the pay, and then USA Jobs, and I know it's not a VA thing, but it's a federal job thing, sucks. USA Jobs website is trash. So, and so it's going to put off a lot of veterans. So dollars to donuts, we have thousands of qualified people who would make fantastic raters, fantastic veteran service representatives in the VA. But just that job application and so many requirements, like you need an education. No, you don't. Okay, because they're as a rater, they will bring you to school. They will not like college, but you will go through a course, a 6-week course, and you will learn all about function and is that me? I heard
Yeah,
feedback.
good. Keep talking.
And they will teach you about respiratory systems and circulatory systems and all this crap, and you will learn how to connect one thing to another. So I had this conversation on my live today, which, by the way, I now have a live subscription service on my TikTok. I would appreciate it. What you get is you get one-on-one access with me. You get behind the scenes things that I just don't post on TikTok. You get your questions answered. You get access to me basically that just the 79 other thousand followers just don't get because it's so hard to
Give me
manage.
the address again where people can find you, and then I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Yep. So you just get on TikTok. You search Ali Says Nope on the right hand corner, or it's on the left hand corner. It'll say live subscription or subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. You'll get a little badge. It'll say VSO. So that way, when I do my lives, I know that you are a subscriber. Your comments, your questions will come first. They are priority because you have taken the time. You have taken, and I think it's like $5 a month or something. And then, I appreciate it. So you guys get priority. And you get access to me and my email and my phone number, and I follow you back so you can message me on TikTok, which you can't. If we don't follow each other, you can't message me. So we follow each other. Basically you have access to me, and you don't have to go pay a lawyer or a shit VSO and wait 3 months to hear about, hey, I can't get my emails answered. So it is a subscription. It's a very nominal fee. Again, I do this on my own time. I do not get paid for this. And I work 3 jobs, so I would appreciate any subscription. I do have Cash App. Again, I do not charge. VSOs are not allowed to charge. So because if I did, let me tell you, I'd pay you. This would be my radio station, but
It still may be one day in the very near future.
but VSOs do not charge per claim. This is a big question. Like how much is it to file a claim? The answer is zero. If you have to pay to file an initial claim, you are doing it wrong. There is nothing a VSO does that a veteran cannot do themselves. The only reason we exist, which we shouldn't, right? Like VSOs should not exist. Very thankful I have a job and I love what I do, but veterans shouldn't have to fight for their benefits. Like that is stupid to me. We should be like the UK, and when they get out of service, they have their benefits, their packages, they already know everything they're getting. We essentially have to file a claim. We have to sue the government in order to get the benefits that they promise that we deserve, right? So we shouldn't exist, but we do exist. So there's nothing that a VSO does that a regular soldier or regular veteran can't do. We are just better versed in it. This is our profession. We go to school for it. We study. Like there's training, like tons of training all year long. So this is why we do what we do, and we tell you guys to go find a decent VSO. But please do not pay for an initial claim. You're literally throwing money away. That's dumb. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but I'm telling you, it's dumb. Don't pay.
So I was like, I don't know if we can call this a feel-good story. I really don't think we can. A friend who listens to the show, just retired from the Army last year, sent me a text message early last week. I hit it, Seth, with it. He listens to the show, was listening to you, and has been having a hard time breathing since he retired. Went and got an x-ray or something done, I think it was, and they found a spot on his lung. And so because of you and this show, he went and now he's getting a CT or an MRI or something like that. But there's the potential that this could be significantly worse. And he's never smoked in his life. So, yeah.
Well, we're hoping, we're praying that this isn't going to turn bad and it's going to be fine, and he will be fine. They're going to monitor in it, but yay, thanks for listening, friend. Like, thanks for listening, because like your health is important. And I don't ever want to get to the point where veterans say it's too late for me. Guys, I just did a World War II claim. I'm still doing Korean War. I'm still doing Vietnam, Gulf War. So if you just got out 5 years ago, I don't want to hear that nonsense. So I got out 5 years ago, it's too late for me. No, it's not. Who says that? Who said it's too late? There is no time limit to file. Where I think veterans get confused is they say, oh, you have to file within a year. And this is what that means. If you file your compensation claim within a year of discharge, right? A year after discharge, the VA will back pay you to the date after discharge, okay? So, and you don't have to file an intent to file. If you wait 2, 3, 20, 30, 40 years, then you should do an intent to file. That'll hold your place for 1 year. And while you gather your documents, your medical records, you get your diagnosis, then you submit your claim. Once granted, they will back pay you to the date of the intent to file. However, none of that comes into play if you file within 1 year of getting out of service. Okay. If you file January 1st, or you get out January 1st and you file November 30th, they're going to back pay you all the way back to the day you got out of service, the day after you got out of service. Okay. So don't think it's too late, because I promise it is not. And I also hear, well, I never went to sick call. Okay. That sucks. And you are going to have an uphill battle, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to get compensated. Okay. Because all you have to do is show that this is service connected. If you had an event, okay, you had a hard landing in a Black Hawk, right? And you broke your back or whatever. And you never went to sick call. You just, your buddy, whatever, told you to suck it up and take some Tylenol. Okay, that event is in your records. Okay, it's in your ERB. It's in, maybe you got an award for it. There is some record, that some flight log, something that you had a hard landing and you were aboard that aircraft. Okay. Just because you didn't go to sick call does not mean that they cannot connect 1 to 2. This is where you need a nexus. This is where you go get the x-rays. This is where you get the diagnosis from the doctor saying, yes, I can see based on how you healed and the extra calcium on this bone and not this one, that you in fact did break your back in, 3 years ago. Okay, 3 years ago is when that accident is. Like, it's like a little puzzle, you guys. So while you should be going to sick call, you should be getting diagnosis, you should be doing and taking care of yourself. If you didn't, that's okay. We can fix it. We can create that nexus, that bridge. You will have a little bit of an uphill battle, but to get $1,000 or $1,200 or $900 monthly, tax-free for the rest of your life, isn't that worth a little bit of legwork? Plus the property tax abatement, right? Plus the vocational rehabilitation. So if you have a job that your service-connected disabilities interfere with, or your job interferes with the service-connected disability, you can use vocational rehabilitation, which, VRE, but they call it something else now, and I just didn't keep up with it. And they will retrain you. They will pay you to go. I'm sorry?
They're paying for my college right now. You're exactly right.
Yes, so that's how I got my master's degree. They paid for my school, tuition, fees, books. They gave me a laptop. They gave me a printer, faxer, scanner, and they gave me a stipend. So for the 2 years I was in grad school, I was still working, but it was enough where I could focus on my studies. So and I wouldn't be able to do that if I did not have a service-connected disability. So it's not just about the money, guys, but it's the foundation. It's the stepping stone. It'll get you ready for something else. It'll open the next door. So I don't want to hear you guys be lazy. Like, there's so many benefits out there. Do it.
Can you see the some of the comments from some of our listeners?
I see Ali says, yep. Someone who says nope, doesn't care. That's not you. The problem is there are so many benefits and programs for veterans that it feels like I'm still learning about 12 years after separation. Yeah, this is my profession and I'm still learning. There are so many things. Home improvement. Guys, if you have a service-connected disability for like mobility issues, the VA will come and do the housing grant, and they will build you a ramp. They will adapt your toilet, your shower. Like, there's so many grants and home improvement stuff and benefits that the VA offers that nobody is talking about. It's not just the service-connected disability.
Do you realize how silly we look right now? Because we have this
I was thinking
we're both
that.
like,
If I'm going to comp and pen for sleep apnea to be applied, what's the likelihood of me having my other benefits affect negative? Okay. So yes, you should be careful, because, and I say, do not file frivolous claims, okay? Like, if you're 90%, you're like, man, I want that 10%. Number one, it's going to take you more than 10% to get to the 100. Two, understand that not everybody warrants 100%, okay? I'm sorry. Like, don't listen to your buddy who's like, oh, I'm 100%. Like, it's not that hard. It's not that easy to get, okay? So if it's less than 5 years, if your claim has been less than 5 years and you want to file something new, the VA does have the right to review your entire file, okay? They will review your entire claim and make sure that you're keeping up, that there's continuity, that there's progression, that you're taking your medication, okay? That's not to say that they do it all the time, but they can. They absolutely have the right to look over your entire claim. So if you really want to be frivolous, I mean, have at it. But then don't get mad and don't be like, nobody told me, when they reduce you because you went in for your knees one time and you stopped therapy 2 years later. So just be careful, okay? So how is someone
So
supposed to find out what is out there if no one's talking about it? Good question. Like, this is why people like me exist. Those that do outreach, those that are on stupid platforms like TikTok and Instagram. There should be, when you get out of service, there should be, and I don't know what the other branches call it, but in the Army we call it TAP, right? Transitional Assistance Program. There should have been a well-versed person in there telling you what benefits you are entitled to, not just benefits and compensation, but education benefits and job searching. Like, did you guys know that in every state, there are people called DVOPs, Disabled Veterans Outreach Program Specialists, and they work inside your American job centers. And all they do is work with veterans and get veterans with significant barriers to employment back into the workforce. And I know this because this is how I started in veterans benefits. I was a veteran employment rep for 2.5 years before I became a VSO for the town of Foxborough. So what we do is significant barrier to improvement. You have a service-connected disability. You are under the age of 26. You are incarcerated. Perhaps there's some mental health going on, right? So there's a bunch of this. You're homeless. There's a bunch of criteria you have to meet that the that the Department of Labor says these are significant barriers to employment. So you walk in your American Job Center. You can just Google it, whatever town you live in, whatever city you live in. Go ask to talk to the DVOP. They will write your resume. They will connect you with employers in town. They can send you to school. There are training programs where, like, you want your CDL. Okay, tell your DVOP you want your CDL. Your DVOP will send you to school and get the state program to pay for it. There are so many things that we as veterans are lucky to have. I mean, it's not luck shit. Like, we served for it. We earned it, but nobody's talking about it. So if you want, I walked in, I used to be corporate security in a Fortune 100. And while I loved my job, I hated corporate America. And I very publicly quit one day and I just couldn't take it. I walk off middle of my shift.
You need to quit.
Over the radio.
Baby seal. Tell the truth, Allie.
It was over the radio, and I told them, my badge is on my desk. I don't need an hour. I fucking quit, and beep. So, and I walked off the job, and it sucked because I was running a team of 90 and I didn't get to say goodbye to anybody. And it was just awful. Corporate America, like, bless those who can do it. It wasn't for me. Plus I had just a shit boss, just awful human being. Like, not even a terrible manager, which he was, but he was just a terrible human, right? So I left and I cried the entire way home. I took 2 days off and I walk into my American Job Center. I said, I'm a veteran. And then they're like, yeah, let me connect you with the guy in the back. This old crusty bald guy, his name's Jack McKenna, Lieutenant Colonel. We are very good friends to this day. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know. What do you do? I can do this. You sit and talk to vets all day. I talk to vets all. I can do this. And boom, he got me in. And I was a DVOP in Plymouth for 2.5 years, working for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I loved it. I was writing resumes and I was connected veterans to jobs, and I was working inside the jail. I was working inside Plymouth County, so incarcerated veterans getting ready to be released, they would have a resume by the time they got out, and I would set them up with an interview. So, like, maybe they fell on hard times and they had to do some things and they're incarcerated, but they served honorably. Like, you're not going to turn a blind eye to that, right? Like, far be it for me to tell anybody like, oh, you went to jail. It's none of my business. You served honorably. You had 3 tours, of combat. You did some things you weren't supposed to. You have an addiction. You're sober. You're clean. All right, let's get you some help. Let's get you a job. And that's what I did. And I loved it. So yeah, DVOPs, DVOP, go find one. Are there centralized places to find out what are the benefits that are out there? So Military One Source is a pretty good source. VA.gov. There's so many programs on VA.gov, and I know the website is like a little cumbersome. It's a little hard to navigate, but they're getting better. But a quick Google search. I don't know of any one place that has all the benefits because some are state specific. So go to your state website and just type in veterans benefits. For instance, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we have what's called the Massachusetts annuity. Massachusetts will pay you $2,000 a year just for being 100%. That's it. You got to live here. We will give you an extra $2,000. You're 100%. Boom, $2,000. Yes.
Their football team.
No. We have property tax abatement. You don't have to be 100% to get your property tax abatement. I am not 100%. I own my home and I get a property tax abatement. You don't. So in Massachusetts, we have that. We also have the Chapter 115 benefits. And this is written to Massachusetts general law. Okay. One, every town and city will be represented by a VSO. We're the only state in the entire country that does this. Everybody else has like county VSOs. We have a VSO in every city and every town. And I just represent Foxborough. Okay. And second, we have what's called Chapter 115 benefits, where if you are an indigent veteran, we will help you get on SNAP and fuel assistance. We will pay your mortgage, co-pays, prescriptions. We do all of that. We reimburse just about everything. And of course, there are guidelines. You can't have more than like $4,000 in your savings account. You can't have assets. You can't have a second house in Miami, all that stuff. But I have about 26 people right now on my Chapter 115 rolls. Yeah, especially widows, elderly widows who their prescriptions would cost like $4,000 a month just in like co-pays and stuff. Like, it's awful. They bring me their prescription and I reimburse it. Doctor's visits, I reimburse it. Medical, their rent, fuel, all of that. I do that. And we're the only state in the union that does it. So I highly encourage you guys to go on your state. I know, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You know better than to interrupt me when I'm on a roll.
No, I was going to say here in Colorado, we have a nonprofit called the Colorado Veterans Project. So like Joanna, I don't know if I'm saying your name right.
Johanna, maybe?
You're in, but if you go to the Colorado Veterans Project, they have a list of all the available resources and everything that Massachusetts have. They talk about Colorado's version of it. And we have a lot of the similar things, not, that extra $2,000 and whatnot, but the property tax and all that stuff. So if you're listening and you're in Colorado, go to coloradoveteransproject.org and they will have all those available resources for you.
If you're in New England, Veterans Inc., if you are homeless or you are at risk of being homeless, Veterans Inc., if you are a female and you need a place to stay or you need some help, Veterans Inc. has a program where it's just for female veterans. They have the Call of Duty endowment code, and there's so many programs, and I'm not a big fan of not-for-profits. I used to work for one, and I wasn't very happy there. But there are a lot of decent nonprofits whose hearts are in the right place, whose finances are in the right place. They're not shady, like From the Ashes Radio. Like, there's so.
I know a good one just right here.
Yeah, but you guys have to do a little bit of legwork, okay? How do we find resources for caregivers working and helping with veterans? VA.gov. If you want to apply to be a caregiver, you don't have to be the spouse. So that's like a huge misconception. You do not have to be a spouse of a veteran to be their caregiver. You can be best friend, cousin, aunt, uncle, son, whatever. Yeah.
Need a lot of
And the form. You guys are like butt buddies. I swear to God.
Hetero life.
Yeah. 10-10CG for caregivers. That's the form you need to apply to be a caregiver. 10-10CG. And they've relaxed a lot on the rules. It used to be just for post 9/11 vets. Now Vietnam veterans are on there. Gulf War veterans are on there. Korean veterans are on there. So there's a lot. But just be careful because just do your research, though. That's all I ask. Do your research. But VA.gov is an excellent source.
I am going to have my throat cut and testicles smashed because we are drastically over time. So I apologize, but I need to basically fire you for the evening.
Okay.
Just for the evening.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week.
Have a great 2023.
Yeah. Bye.
Hey, folks, I apologize, but Phil, I'm so sorry if you're still listening. Hey, folks, thank you so much for listening to From the Ashes for our first show for 2023. I promise we'll get a lot better on our time management for next week. Hang on, before I cut you guys loose, let me look and see who we have for next week. As a matter of fact,
Do we have somebody?
we do. We have somebody basically through like February. Bearded Monkey.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. So
We've been
next week
waiting a long time.
we have this one. It's
You
been,
guys do not want to miss next week. It'll be a lot of fun.
especially if you are law enforcement or whatnot. Yes, you're going to want to listen to next week. We are going to have Bearded Monkey on next week, and yeah, it's going to be a good time. So yeah, listen next week.
I've actually been out on patrol with him.
No, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys know? Was this a while ago?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was doing a ride along in that area. That's how I know him.
No kidding. I'd love, if you haven't listened to his podcast, check out the Bearded Monkey podcast. It's the second best radio show that I can attest to. It's good stuff.
Good dude.
Yes,
It's going to be entertaining.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, we will see you here this time next week. Thank you so much for listening, and yeah, we'll see you next week, folks.